On July 17th, a merchant in Dallas found something on their credit card reader that wasn't supposed to be there. Within 24 hours, that discovery would shut down a $23 million criminal operation and reveal exactly how your credit card gets made. See, 3 Romanian criminals thought they understood credit cards. They'd built 115 custom devices to steal your money. But what they discovered, and what you're about to discover, is that the piece of plastic in your wallet traveled 10,000 miles through the most secure manufacturing process on Earth. Every credit card starts as raw polyvinyl chloride, a derivative of petroleum refined into the most secure pieces of plastic on Earth. Only 4 companies can legally make it, and the exact recipe is classified. From there, it travels in armored trucks straight to factories built like military bases. The factory where your credit card gets made looks nothing like what you'd expect. From the outside, it's just an unmarked concrete building that could be anything from a warehouse to a data center. But surrounding it are 3 separate security fences, each monitored by different detection systems. There are thermal cameras that can spot a human heartbeat from 100 feet away, seismic sensors that detect footsteps, and radar systems borrowed from military installations scanning for drones. The really wild part is what you can't see. The entire facility is surrounded by an electromagnetic field that jams unauthorized communications. Your cell phone won't work within 500 feet of the building. GPS signals get scrambled. They even filter the power lines to prevent data from being transmitted through electrical fluctuations, which is apparently a real thing hackers can do. Getting inside as an employee is like going through airport security if airports were designed by paranoid spies. Workers pass through full body scanners that detect not just metal, but specific chemical signatures that might indicate recording devices. The facility provides all their clothing, specially designed without pockets or seams where someone could hide something. Everyone wears RFID badges that track their location to within 6 inches. The system knows if you're standing, sitting, or lying down, which must make bathroom breaks really awkward. The production floor is divided into separate cells, like a honeycomb, with each cell isolated from the others. Workers in one area have no idea what's happening in the next. It's like being a part of a recipe where you only know how to make one ingredient. Even if the criminals somehow convinced one employee to spill their secrets, they'd only learn a tiny piece of the whole process. The plastic sheets arrive in armored trucks equipped with more tracking devices than a NASA spacecraft. GPS monitors, temperature sensors, shock detectors, the works. If a truck goes more than 100 feet off its planned route, armed response teams are automatically sent out. If the temperature inside changes by more than 2 degrees, they assume something's wrong and destroy the entire shipment. Talk about not taking any chances. And even with all that security, the real defense isn't outside the factory. It's built into every single card, layer by layer. If you could splice your credit card like a piece of cake and look at it from the side, you'd see 12 different layers. Teku's criminal operation had identified 5 of them. The other 7 might as well have been invisible, which turned out to be exactly the point. At the very center, you've got 2 layers of white PVC that give the card its strength. These sheets are engineered to bend 10,000 times without breaking, which is about how many times you'll use your card before it expires. They can handle temperatures from -20 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So whether you leave your wallet in the car during a Minnesota winter or a Phoenix summer, your card will be fine. But the really clever part isn't how tough these layers are. It's what's hidden inside them. Embedded in the molecular structure are microscopic tracers that work like DNA for plastic. You can't see them, and most scanning equipment can't detect them, but they're there. When the authorities raided Teku's fake card factory, these invisible tracers proved his cards were counterfeit in less time than it takes to microwave popcorn. Surrounding the core are the printed layers, and the ink used here costs $1,200 per gallon. But you're not paying for the color. You're paying for the rare earth elements mixed into the ink that glow under specific wavelengths of light in patterns so complex that recreating them would require equipment worth millions of dollars. And here's the kicker. That equipment is restricted by international arms treaties because it can also be used to forge currency. The security layers come next, and the features in these layers are so classified that employees working with them sign 25-year confidentiality agreements. That's longer than most marriages last. When one technician in Malaysia tried to secretly photograph these layers in 2019, he triggered an automatic lockdown that sealed the entire facility for 4 hours. Nobody got in, nobody got out, and I'm betting that guy doesn't work there anymore. Then you've got the hologram layers, though calling them holograms is like calling a smartphone a calculator. These are electron beam lithographs created in vacuum chambers where individual electrons carve patterns smaller than the wavelength of invisible light. If that sounds like science fiction, consider this. The math behind these patterns was originally developed for spy satellites during the Cold War. Creating just one master hologram takes 6 months and costs $2 million, which is about what starter homes in Canada go for nowadays. Finally, there are the overlay films, treated with a special process that makes them reject any adhesive except the specific type used in credit card assembly. So you've got this incredibly complex 12-layer sandwich that's basically foolproof against tampering. But here's the thing. If the card itself is this sophisticated, imagine what kind of security they need at the place that actually makes these things. Turns out, getting inside a credit card factory is harder than getting into most military bases. But even those 12 layers weren't enough to stop fraud forever. That's why every modern card hides something far smarter: the chip. Remember those 115 skimming devices Teku's crew built? They were designed to steal information from the magnetic stripe on the back of your card. That black stripe is basically like writing your password on a sticky note. Swipe it through any reader, legitimate or not, and you've just given away everything needed to clone your card. But that golden chip on your card, that's a completely different story. It's actually a computer more powerful than what NASA used for the Apollo moon missions. Inside that tiny square are 6 different components working together: a microprocessor, memory that holds data for 50 years without power, an encryption engine that generates random numbers from quantum mechanical noise, whatever that means, a security processor checking for tampering 1,000 times per second, a communication controller, and a powerful management system that runs everything on just 0.005 watts. That's less power than those LED throwies people stick on bridges. Installing the chip requires precision that seems impossible. The cavity is milled by machines using diamond-tipped bits spinning at 50,000 RPM, cooled by liquid nitrogen to prevent any thermal expansion that could throw off the measurements. The depth has to be exact to within 10 micrometers. To put that in perspective, a human hair is about 75 micrometers thick. So we're talking about precision smaller than the fraction of a hair. The adhesive that holds the chip in place isn't your average superglue from Home Depot. It's a silver-filled epoxy that costs $3,000 per kilogram, which makes printer ink look cheap. Robots apply it in amounts as small as 0.001 millimeters with exactly 15 pounds of pressure for exactly 3 seconds. 1 pound too much and the chip cracks. 1 second too short and it won't stick properly. This is where Teku's criminal operation completely fell apart. They could steal card numbers, expiration dates, even PIN codes. But the chip generates a unique transaction code for every single purchase using cryptographic keys that would take every computer on Earth working together 10 billion years to crack. The criminals had the equivalent of a photocopy of a key when what they really needed was the actual key, which only existed inside the chip itself. But the card's journey doesn't end there. It still has to become yours, and that happens inside another fortress. Once the blank card has its chip installed, it enters the most secure phase of manufacturing: personalization. These facilities have the same security classification as nuclear power plants, which seems excessive until you realize they're handling millions of people's financial identities. The computers storing consumer data aren't just password protected or behind a firewall. They're completely disconnected from any network. That's called air-gapped. The only way the data gets in is on encrypted drives carried by bonded couriers who are tracked by satellite. These couriers don't even know what they're carrying. The drives are sealed in cases that will literally explode with ink if someone tries to open them incorrectly, like those die packs that banks use. Your name and numbers get added through either embossing or laser engraving. The embossing machines apply 2 tons of pressure, about the weight of a large SUV, through dies heated exactly 285 degrees Fahrenheit. The force permanently deforms the plastic's molecular structure, which is why those raised numbers never wear down. Laser engraving is becoming more common, though. These lasers could cut through steel but are controlled so precisely they remove exactly 50 micrometers of plastic to reveal a different colored layer underneath. Your entire 16-digit card number, name, and expiration date get engraved in less than 2 seconds. Even though it's basically obsolete, the magnetic stripe still gets encoded with your information across 3 tracks of data. The encoding has to be perfect down to individual bits. One tiny error among millions of bits and the card won't work. The machines that do this encoding cost $100,000 and have a fun security feature. If anyone tries to open them up to see how they work, thermite charges incinerate the internal components in less than 1,000th of a second. But the real complexity happens when programming the chip. Each chip receives multiple cryptographic keys through hardware security modules, specialized computers designed solely to protect cryptographic operations. These machines are so paranoid about security that they'll physically destroy themselves if they detect any tampering. We're talking about controlled explosions inside a computer. That's the level of security protecting your credit card data. After all this high-tech manufacturing and security, your card faces its most vulnerable moment: getting from the factory to your mailbox. This is traditionally when criminals strike, stealing cards before they reach the right person. It's like Amazon porch pirates, but for credit cards. The industry's response turned mail delivery into something out of a spy movie. Cards are packaged in envelopes designed to look exactly like junk mail. They're mixed with millions of regular letters to avoid patterns. Delivery trucks follow randomized routes generated by AI that considers traffic patterns, crime statistics, even weather conditions. Some trucks are decoys carrying nothing but fake packages. Banks now require phone activation before the card works, and the system uses voice biometrics to verify they're really you. It analyzes not just what you say, but how you say it, measuring things like vocal tract length and speaking rhythm that are unique to each person. It's like a fingerprint for your voice. Criminals keep adapting, though. They've developed heat-sensing equipment that can detect the magnetic signature of chips through envelopes. They use machine learning to predict delivery schedules. Some have even recruited postal workers as inside sources. In response, banks created smart envelopes that can detect when they've been opened and automatically invalidate the card inside. Some banks send the card and PIN in separate mailings days apart. Others use augmented reality apps where you scan the card with your phone, which then uses facial recognition to verify your identity before activating it. When that Dallas merchant found Teku's skimming device on July 17th, they noticed something almost impossible to detect. The plastic felt wrong. Not obviously fake, but just subtly different. The weight was off by less than 1/10 of a gram, about the weight of a small paperclip. The flexibility was slightly too stiff. The surface had a microscopic texture that legitimate cards don't have. These tiny differences existed because Teku's team, despite all their planning and technology, had only reverse engineered what they could see and measure. They didn't know about the molecular tracers. They couldn't decode the mathematics of the holograms. They had no way to replicate the quantum processes in the chip. Within 24 hours, the Texas Financial Crimes Intelligence Center had traced the device back to its source. They found the Dallas factory with those 115 custom skimmers, 50,000 bank cards, and $500,000 worth of equipment. They found detailed plans for attacking ATMs across 15 states. They found evidence of $23 million in attempted fraud. But here's what really tells the story. They also found notes showing the criminals' growing frustration. Despite all their technology, all their planning, all their stolen data, they'd never successfully cloned a single chip card. Every fake transaction had been flagged and blocked within milliseconds. They were playing checkers, while the credit card industry was playing 4D chess. Next time you tap your card to buy coffee, remember what you're really holding. Something that started as crude oil and traveled 10,000 miles to reach you. A computer more sophisticated than what sent humans to the moon. And a tiny soldier in an endless war between security and crime. And that war is far from over. Bye for now.